Welcome back to the YouthRise Podcast, a platform dedicated to empowering youth voices through diverse topics of passion. I'm your host, Queenie Gong, and today I'm thrilled to welcome Owen Qin, a sophomore at Collingwood School in West Vancouver. In this episode, we'll explore what it means to be a financial successor and the quality it takes to become one. Owen will be sharing his unique insights, valuable advice, and recommended learning resources. We hope our conversation inspires you to dive deeper into this topic that Owen is truly passionate about. Owen, how about you first introduce yourself to everyone? Can you just share some of your hobbies or fun facts about yourself?
So, of course, my name's Owen. I go to Collingwood School. Some fun facts about myself, probably. I do fencing. I played basketball for about 3 or 4 years now. And I really like doing debate, and yeah, probably just those things.
Wow, that's great. It seems like you do a lot of sports and you're kind of an all-rounder. But to dive deep into today's topic, we're going to be discussing about kind of what is a financial successor and what it takes to be one as well. But how do you define being a financial successor? Is it really about wealth accumulation, financial independence, or something else?
Like being a financial successor, it's really just about like what you personally think it is. Because if you just based on what like other people think it is, you're not really gonna be successful. Because there's a lot of different types of people, like Warren Buffett or maybe somebody else that you might know. Warren Buffett accumulated his wealth from being rich, or like from buying stocks and selling them later on. However, other people they have become a financial successor from being their own hero, I'd say. So example of that could be like if your finances are really stable, you have a good emergency savings account, or if you have a good like Roth IRA account, you're probably going to say, oh, I'm a financial successor. I can keep my finances stable in an orderly pattern so that later on, if there's anything bad that happens, or if your like company crashes, you wouldn't be in a state of panic. You would either be back on your feet like almost immediately, or you would be rebuilding your empire.
Okay, yeah, that's great to hear that you think it's really different for everyone. It's differentiated a lot. So, at what point in your life did you start like thinking about this seriously, and what motivated you to do so? Because I feel like having these like initial thoughts is very important, but like most people our age don't really think about or reflect on this topic that much.
I'd say this probably started around grade 6 or grade 5 when I learned about my dad's like lore, I'd say. Because my dad grew up in like really, really poor parts of China, and he had to work his way out of there. He started out like mining coal and like transporting it, and then he went on to be like a boss of this movement or moving company in China. And then later he came to Canada so he could just trade stocks. And when I really learned about that, I feel like something like lit inside me saying, I really want to follow my dad's path in this financial journey. And I really want to just learn about what it takes to be like a great financier.
Well, that sounds amazing. And your dad's story also sounds pretty cool as well. For me as well, my dad lived in like the rural areas of China, and he became like, I'm not too certain about the details, but he became like a math professor and then came to Canada as well just to like trade stocks. I feel like most people go towards investing. It's pretty stable. Well, there's risks, of course, but yeah, that's great to hear. And what role has financial education kind of played in your life? Because you definitely have to do a lot of learning to understand this. Were there any like specific courses, books, or mentors that have made a difference in this?
2 books that I really like that I think could help you in your financial journey would probably be The Snowball by Warren Buffett, because it really highlights like how your investments could stack up over time, how your portfolio could be a lot greater, and you wouldn't just be buying and trading one stock like Bitcoin. Or you could choose Principles of Corporate Finance, published by McGraw-Hill. I think that book's a really great like book, just talking about like finance or financing, because you really learn about like different parts of it, how you can trade during COVID, and it's a really modern book, so you can really just read it and go like, wow, this could really help my small company where I'm just selling like coffee beans. It could basically help anyone, like no matter the age, in their finance journey.
Wow, it seems like you do a lot of reading. So, like, how often do you read these types of books?
I try to read about like 3 hours a week, I would say, because for my English class, he makes us like read Lord of the Rings, and later, I'll just like at home, I'll just study the Principles of Corporate Finance book, because I feel like having an econ teacher is also really important, because my econ teacher, he suggested this book, or he would say, oh wow, you should really read like The Snowball by Warren Buffett, because he said that like prior to going to his classes you would need to know some information. So I'd say like it basically transitioned into real life, where before starting your own business you would kind of need to know some things about how to start your business, or you would need to know some things about how financing works.
Yeah, that's great to hear that you've gone like I feel like a lot of people right now they kind of have like strayed away from books, but it's great to hear that you still engage in them and I think they're a great learning material in itself. So, how important do you think it is for young people to learn about finance in this early on? And I mean, you suggested some resources like these books, but would you recommend anything other, like maybe courses or anything digital?
I feel like there are a lot of like courses you could take that could help you. Some of them could be like CTY, Center of Talented Youth by John Hopkins University, or you could go to the Stanford summer classes, which my grade 10 friend really thinks it's like a really good learning space, or like a learning community where everyone just does their own thing and everyone just contributes to each other and their own like journey throughout life.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of like free coursework and like a lot of resources out there. It's just a matter of fact of like being wanting to learn that, of course. And I feel like you really have that drive that you really want to learn about this, and that's amazing to hear. So I feel like I said just now about like having the habits and the mindsets. I think that's a lot more important than actually like having the free material because if you don't have that, then you don't really learn. So, what mindset or habit shifts have you made to kind of achieve this level of learning? And were there any old habits that you had to kind of let go of?
So, but there were some like trade-offs, I'd say. Some of them were like a bad trade-off, but some of them later paid off at the end. So some trade-offs I had to do were like sacrificing my own time from class just to have more homework piled up at the end of the week, so I could just finish reading these books, and later I could just like get into some courses I really wanted to take, or either I could start my econ class earlier. And some of those trade-offs were not so great, like me personally, because I had so much freedom from like reading these books. I felt like I could basically do anything, so I gained until like 12 a.m. On the weekends, and later I had to sleep until like 5 p.m. So that's like a trade-off that maybe you should like learn from if you even have that. But I'd say try to create like a good schedule, because I feel like not having a schedule would really like impact on if you're gonna become like a financial leader, or if you're gonna like even read a book.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like young people really, like you talked about the sleep schedule and kind of prioritizing stuff on your like to-do list. And I think that's something that a lot of young people struggle with because they really want to learn something, but they can't find enough time for it. And then they kind of have to look through their like what they're doing to the day-to-day basis and see like where they're spending like a lot of their time. And I bet like most people are like procrastinating a lot because personally for me, I also do that. So you kind of talked about like the trade-offs, so of course in these decisions there's a risk and a reward, but like moving on to something a bit bigger, what would you say to like young people who are afraid of taking a financial risk, because there are a lot of people who are kind of starting small businesses or learning to invest, so what would you say about this?
I'd honestly say like some people say not to jump at your first opportunity, wait till there's like bigger ones. However, like I follow by like always jump on the first opportunity you ever see. So for example, there's like for our house, there's some house captain roles, so I immediately jumped at that. And there's a lot of leadership roles like later. However, I jumped at the first opportunity I saw because I know being having this role would later help me in the future. So I feel like if you were going to start a small company, if you were going to like do a drop shipping company or anything like that, I'd probably say like go for it. Like nobody's gonna stop you. Only like haters I'd say would stop you, but being yourself and really having that mentality of like working and helping the later generations in something, I'd say, would really impact your future and would help you on your financial journey.
Yeah, and just to clarify, you said house leader, that's like for school, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's great to hear. And I think obviously you'll learn from your mistakes, and that's kind of how you grow as a leader. And so of course, you're learning right now, and you would like to be someone like a leader in the future. So how do you stay adaptable to changes in the kind of financial landscape while also working towards your financial goals?
I would say if you wanted to be like successful in finance or if you wanted to like work towards your goals, you'd probably need some like emotional support or you're probably gonna need some like co-curricular support because I would say having like my sports therapist that helps me like through my knee pain, his son is actually like a really good fencer. He competed at provincials and he got like third place throughout fencing. So just having like a community surrounding you saying that you can do this instead of people just saying you're gonna fail at this or you're not gonna succeed, it's like a really big part of playing in your financial journey. And also I would say having a mentor would be a really good idea because not only will they help you in like finding like your class changes or maybe writing something for you for your university, but also they could really help you in just pivoting throughout basketball to fencing. For example, I really wanted to play grade 8 basketball, but I felt like me doing fencing this year would probably help me in the future. So I just dropped basketball to do fencing.
Yeah, that's great. And I also love how you kind of like segue from like sports to like finance, and you kind of use what you learn from sports and put it into what you're doing, learning about finance and stuff like that. So that's amazing to hear. And also, I hope everything with fencing goes well. So if you could give kind of like one piece of advice to someone who is kind of striving for the same thing that you're doing right now and learning more about finance, what would it be?
I kind of just say that if you're trying to like become a good financier, you really have to define what a good financier is. So I'd say a good financier would probably be a person who can help others throughout their own finance journey. However, in order to help others, you have to create own financial independence. So I'd say just try to build a really strong base so later in the future you could just build off that base and later if other people like your friends need help in their own finance journey, you could just help them without really needing to worry about where you're at.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice, and I think everyone should kind of strive for that as well. So, thank you so much for giving so many great tips and also some of your insights as well. So, do you have any kind of like last words you'd like to share to anyone at home?
I'd probably say that the most like important takeaway from this is probably just like focus on yourself. Don't let other people like really impact what you're doing. Like I really wanted to do fencing, but a lot of people around me are like, focus on basketball. You're not gonna make it like a really long way throughout fencing. And in my dad's youth, a lot of the time that he really spent throughout high school, he really wanted to like kind of do like mechanical engineering. However, people were like doubting him, saying you're not smart enough, you're not good enough for this. And later, he moved out into Canada, and everyone that doubted him, they're still like there. They're still in that small village, just like talking, just gossiping about other people and their own financial ruins.
Wow, great ending there. And yeah, I think especially for like youth, it's very important to kind of try out everything. I mean, you tried out both basketball and fencing, and then in the end, you kind of chose fencing as your main sport. And I think, of course, later on, you'll have to make those big decisions. But for people who are young, it's important to kind of find what you love and then learn from your mistakes. So yeah, thank you so much, Owen, for today. And I hope everyone at home also learned a lot of new things. But yeah, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
All right, thank you.